rumors to get into. A villain, should the Dodgers trade for Carlos Correa? Could they bring the hometown kid home in Nolan Arenado? Arenado posted a very interesting Instagram message. We're going to break it all down, so much more here on a morning edition of Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You guys wanted a parade? We got a parade! The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Tony starts the 50-50 club. Mookie Magic. Freeman hits a ball to right field. She is gone! Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and let me know down below in the comments section. Do you want to see the Dodgers trade for Nolan Arenado? Do you want to see them trade for Carlos Correa? What do you make of these rumors? Because it's a very polarizing topic, and we have so much to get into. But like I said, follow us over on X, on Instagram. Definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Basically, everything, all things Dodger baseball, 24/7, 365, and of course, Dodgers Dugout Live. Everything you need to know about your boys in blue in less than an hour. But we have so much to get into, so let's get right into it. You guys know, every episode starts with the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So the hottest story in Dodger baseball is a rumor. And yes, this is rumor season. I totally get it. Sometimes the rumors can be a little exhausting, but I do want to point out that we don't spend a lot of time on rumors that don't have legs. They don't have at least more than a 0% chance of happening. I mean, look at my track record. Look at the track record of this channel, dating all the way back to Trevor Bauer, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. I told you a year ago that was going to happen. I told you that 2 years in advance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, usually we spend a lot of time on the players that either they ultimately do end up signing or players that they were interested in signing. So I can assure you that we are not going to spend a lot of time on players that they have 0% chance of signing. Now, these two today are interesting ones. It's fun. It's the week before the winter meetings, and I'll give you my Dodger dogs on these one as far as how real I think these rumors are. But you guys have been flooding the DMs. You guys have been hitting me up on X and Instagram. You want me to talk about these, so let's talk about them. Now, according to a report from NewJersey.com, MLB insider Randy Miller, of course, he's not of the Jeff Passan category, but still, Randy Miller, he knows stuff. He's credible on the East Coast, right? But he says both the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers are interested in acquiring Nolan Arenado. He writes, I think the Cardinals are trying to trade him. St. Louis would have to pick up some of the money, and maybe the Yankees could have a deal where they trade some prospects. I keep hearing it's going to be either the Yankees or the Dodgers. I think he's a West Coast guy and that he would prefer to go to the Dodgers, and I think the Dodgers want him. So I can tell you that, yeah, these are some rumors that have been circulating, and it's no secret that Nolan Arenado is from Southern California. He probably would love to be a Dodger. He probably dreams of putting on that Dodger blue and playing in front of his family at Dodger Stadium. And then just adding a little fuel to the fire, pouring some gasoline on these rumors. Nolan Arenado on Instagram, he posted this. This was yesterday, and this is a post of him and his daughter walking through this cool little thing, very festive Christmas vibes here. And you notice the song from Kendrick Lamar's new album, and it's Dodger Blue. And look who liked it down below, none other than Tommy Edmonds. So look, where there's smoke, there's fire. will this happen? We're going to get into that. Should it be something the Dodgers pursue? We're also going to get into that. But don't tell me this is nothing. Don't tell me that there is not, at the very least, a little smoke here. Because everything lines up for Arenado to want to be a Dodger. The Dodgers World Series champions. They're a proven winner. They just signed Blake Snell. They're going all the way in. It's all gas, no brakes for this Dodgers organization. He works out here in the offseason, has a home here. I mean, him and Freddie Freeman's trainer were the same. So there's a lot of connections. And then on top of that, he has a no-trade clause. He has a no-trade clause, so he can approve of where he's going to go. So ultimately, he'll have a say in the destination where he lands. So he has a lot of power in this. And the Cardinals are a team that's already made it pretty clear that they're going to go the rebuilding route. Now, does this provide them a lot of financial relief? That's the big question, because Nolan Arenado, he turns 34 in April. He has 3 years left on his contract, and he's owed $74 million over the next 3 seasons. So some of that money is deferred, which we know the Los Angeles deferrals, the LA Klarnas, everyone wants to point that out, that they love deferrals. Well, he has some deferrals in his contract, and also the Rockies are on the hook for $5 million for this upcoming season. So the Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, has already had a conversation with Nolan Arenado about the possibility of getting traded. Now, Nolan Arenado has not gone to the front office and demanded a trade. That is pretty well known at this point, but they have had conversations about the possibility. So that feels to me like it's a mutual thing between Arenado and ownership, and he might be involved in this pretty heavily. And if that's the case, you'd have to imagine that if the Dodgers were interested and Nolan Arenado has that no trade clause, that the Dodgers would be a top team. Now, as far as the contract, I mean, look, he had the opportunity to opt out after the 2022 season. He decided not to do that. Of course, it's about making the most amount of money. But it comes down to, for the Dodgers, a lot of factors. It's a pretty complicated topic, because it's not a situation where, oh, let's bring in Nolan Arenado, a superstar. Look, 6 years ago, this would be a no-brainer. But let's kind of retrace a little bit, because in 2023 at the deadline, the Dodgers were very interested in the possibility of trading for Nolan Arenado. And let's not forget about the recent signing they just had with Blake Snell. Blake Snell, they inked him to a 5-year, $182 million deal, about $165 million in net present value. There are deferrals, a signing bonus in there as well. But the Dodgers were also interested in signing Blake Snell, interested in trading him at the deadline last season. They wanted to trade for him, but he was a giant. It couldn't happen, and they ultimately signed him. Point here is, if the Dodgers have wanted you in the past, there's a good chance that they're at the very least going to show some interest and take some flyers on you in the future. Now, the biggest question is, what do you do with Max Muncy? If you're the Dodgers, Max Muncy is an everyday third baseman. Now, if you traded for Nolan Arenado, who's already said that he's willing to move over to first base, well, guess what? Freddie Freeman's at first base for the next 3 seasons, so we know that's not an option. If you trade for Nolan Arenado, he's going to be your everyday third baseman. There's no doubt about that. What would you do with Max Muncy? Because Max Muncy has been really good for the Dodgers. Max Muncy is under a very, very team-friendly contract. Max Muncy is owed $14.5 million in 2025. And he has a $10 million club option in 2026. If you traded for Nolan Arenado, the options for Max Muncy would be you play him at second base, where he played in 2021. But mind you, the game has changed since then. Since 2021, you have a restriction on the shift. Does Max Muncy have the requisite lateral quickness to be able to play second base at an everyday level in 2025 and beyond? And if you move Max Muncy to second base, what does this mean for Mookie Betts? What does this mean for Gavin Lux? Now, one possible scenario as to why the Dodgers would be interested in trading for Nolan Arenado is, one, the Dodgers love distressed assets, ones that they can bring into their organization and optimize and get them back to being the player that they once were. The truth is with Nolan Arenado is offensively, he hasn't been the same player for the last couple of seasons when he was at the peak of his powers, when he was an MVP candidate. Now, the glove, though, is still there. If you look at his Baseball Savant page, the glove is certainly still there. He has a plus outs above average. He's still one of the better third basemen. He was dealing with a back injury a couple of years ago, and that was impacting his play early on. He made some adjustments, and he's still a really good defender. He's in the 95th percentile in outs above average. There's 10 outs above average last season. Now, you look at the expected slug, down to 356. Average exit velocity, 86.3 miles per hour. Barrel rate, 6th percentile, 3.2%. So, hard hit percentile, 31.6%, 12th percentile. So he doesn't hit the ball hard, does not barrel up a lot of balls compared to league average at this point of his career. What he does at a high level offensively still at this point of his career does not strike out a lot. So 14.5% strikeout rate, doesn't whiff a lot, 17.2% whiff rate. And with that, I mean, you look at how he fits into a Dodgers lineup, would you value possibly a guy that's a little better bat to ball, a guy that can put the ball in play and kind of just pass the baton to get to your sluggers? Do you need as much slug for Max Muncy right now, or do you want better defense and a guy that can hit for better average and hope that he was unhappy in St. Louis and that he's going to play his tail off in Dodger blue because he's on a World Series contender playing for a team where it was close to where he grew up in Southern California. So you kind of bank on some of that stuff, but it is a tough call. This would be a tough call. And this is all hypothetical, fun and games, but this is a tough call because Max Muncy, just look at last season. And yes, you make this trade for what it could do for you in the future, and you base your future projections not on 100% of what the player did for you in the previous year. But if you are looking at the 2024 seasons for Max Muncy and Nolan Arenado, just look at the differences here. I mean, Nolan Arenado had more than double the plate appearances, and he finished with less WAR. Muncy had a 3-WAR season in just 73 games. Nolan Arenado had a 2.5 WAR season in 152 games. Max Muncy hit just one less home run in 73 games in 293 plate appearances, as Nolan Arenado did in 152 games and 635 plate appearances. The batting average is on Arenado's side, but the on-base percentage, the slug, the OPS plus, you see Max Muncy posted a 141 OPS plus, so he was 41% above league average. Nolan Arenado, a 101 OPS plus, so he was exactly 1% above league average. Now, if you look at in the past, I mean, if you can get back to 2022 Nolan Arenado, that'd be the big question for me if I'm the Dodgers. Do I think that I can get him closer to being the 2022 version of Nolan Arenado? Because that version is better than the current version of Max Muncy. Even last season, if Max Muncy had sustained that season, the 2022 version of Nolan at age 31 was still better. A 149 weighted runs created plus. He was an MVP candidate, hit 293, had a 358 on base, a 533 slug, a isolated power of 241. So that's been the biggest difference. I mean, the home runs have just dropped. 2022, he had 30 home runs. 2023, he had 26 home runs. Last season, he had 16 home runs. So the power has gone down. The isolated power in 2022, isolated power, which you look at the slugging percentage minus batting average, it's a really good indicator of power. Anything above 200 is really, really good. 241 in 2022. That number dropped to 123 in 2024. So the Dodgers think they can work their miracles. The Dodgers think that they can take a player that has played below their standard and get it back to where they want it to be. Another thing to consider here, too, is where does the shortstop position go for the Dodgers? Do you sign Willy Adames? Do you trade for Carlos Correa? Trade for Bo Bichette? Does Mookie Betts play shortstop? Does Gavin Lux play shortstop? Because if it's Mookie Betts at shortstop, then having Nolan Arenado at third makes the left side of your infield better. That gives you a more quality left side of your infield, and Nolan Arenado certainly accomplishes that. That could be a part of the Dodgers' thinking when considering this deal, because that's something that he still has as his strong suit. So, getting back to Max Muncy, I mean, like I said, Muncy, you can't look at his just 2024 season, but last two seasons, Muncy hit 218, but did have a 124 weighted runs created plus. Do you view Max Muncy as a utility guy where he plays third base, but he can also play second base, first base when Freddie needs a day off, which maybe moving forward they do a little more often as he gets older? I think Freddie wants to play and he'll want to be in there as much as possible. And then DH is Ohtani's spot. Even when he's pitching, DH is Ohtani's spot. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be a spot that's freed up, because that was the big difference a couple seasons ago when they were interested in trading for Nolan Arenado in 2023, is the organization made it pretty clear to Max Muncy that they weren't trading him, or that he wasn't involved in this, and that he'd be playing DH in that situation. So, yeah, you're kind of at a point where I think if you traded for Nolan Arenado, you have to move off Max Muncy. I don't think playing him at second base would make a ton of sense. And would you just move Mookie back into the outfield permanently after you've already came out there and said that he wants to play in the infield? That tells me that Mookie has already indicated that's where he wants to be. So lots to get into on this one. I mean, really, it's interesting. I mean, I think you look at where Max Muncy is. I mean, it just comes down to better defense versus more slug and better average for Nolan Arenado, and can you get back to being that player he was a couple seasons ago? Because, I mean, look, with that kind of offense that he's put up the last couple seasons, to have a 2.7 F4 in 2023 for Nolan Arenado and a 3.1 F4 in 2024, that tells you how strong that glove is. But I think that if you're the Dodgers in this situation, it's interesting, because there's other things that go deeper than baseball in this one too, because does this mess up with the clubhouse dynamic? And Max Muncy is a big part of that, because Max Muncy and Mookie Betts, they were the ones that went to the front office and made it clear that this team needed to spend more time with each other. They needed to do something differently in the 2024 postseason run that led to them having the watch parties, traveling together, watching the games together, playing video games, and that team chemistry was huge. And then that's big. But if you are the Dodgers in this too, I think you kind of look at Nolan Arenado. There's not a lot of teams out there financially that are going to want to absorb that contract that he still has based on his current level of production. Last two seasons for Arenado, hit 269, a 104 weighted runs created plus. The last two seasons, he's slightly above average. And when you're the Dodgers and you have a lot of cash, you have a lot of resources, you have leverage. So would you try to use that to get a Nolan Arenado for not a huge return? Could you include him in a deal for a catcher, right? I mean, the Dodgers have 4 catchers on their 40-man roster. That's not sustainable. You got to trade some of those guys. Do you flip a Diego Cartaya? Maybe get them to take on a Chris Taylor. Maybe get them to include who else they're interested in, a Robleski, a Frasso. I mean, you wouldn't have to give up massive prospects that are a huge part of your future. So, look, I mean, Nolan Arenado, if you could guarantee me Nolan Arenado from a couple seasons ago with the defense he still plays, it's a no-brainer. At that contract, you 100% would make that deal. But there's no guarantee that he's going to perform at that level again. And Max Muncy would be a blow to the team chemistry. I do think that the team, I'm really of the belief, I mean, winning creates team chemistry. When you win, chemistry happens. And look, we've had a lot of high character guys that have been in this organization in the last couple of seasons, but was it high character guys that won the 2024 World Series for the Dodgers? I think it was talent. It was an infusion of talent. It was an infusion of Teoscar Hernandez, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Character is big. It's not bigger than talent. I'll tell you that much. But I'll open up to you guys. We'll continue to break this one down. Do you like the idea of Nolan Arenado in Dodger Blue? Not going to lie. Gets me excited, but it also kind of makes me think about Nolan Arenado when he was at his best. And is it the best version of him now? That's the big question. LMFAO, nobody wants Taylor. He's trash. Of course, BC is going to say that. But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. I mean, the thing with Chris Taylor, you have a guy, a versatile player, can play multiple positions. You have someone that you can try to get off of. And if you are the Cardinals, you can possibly get a better Dodgers prospect by taking on Chris Taylor. So, yeah, it's just a scenario. But the truth is, I mean, they're not in a great position. They're not in a great position. And who knows? I mean, if you're the Dodgers, how much of the Cardinals can you get to take on the rest of his salary? Can you get the Cardinals to take on $10 to $20 million, something in that range, just to get rid of him? I mean, he's not really, that's kind of one of the biggest things that I think is a misconception with the Cardinals and trying to get him off their books, because the Cardinals are at, I mean, obviously you want some more flexibility. There's no doubt about that. And you definitely get some money saving there, because you look at the Cardinals, though, I mean, for his contract right now, I mean, they're about, I mean, if you look at the Cardinals in 2024, they're already around $35 million lower than they were this past season. So as far as cost saving, I mean, it's not just a salary dump for the Cardinals. It's more of a, hey, we're trying to turn the corner, trying to develop, we're trying to get prospects, trying to rebuild a little more than just, oh, Arenado's contract is hurting us in the CBT or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of more of a mutual parting of ways, in my opinion, when it comes to those two. So, I mean, Cardinals eating some of that money, though, would definitely be enticing for the Dodgers. No doubt about it. And I think, too, we're at this point where it's like, look, if the Dodgers lost in the NLDS, then anytime you saw one of these rumors, you saw a potential idea that's kind of a roll of the dice, that would be a risk, you're saying, well, we don't trust you. You don't have enough equity in the fan base because, yes, you've been perennial postseason players. You made it to October, but you've been a bridesmaid more than you've been a bride. Well, that's not the case anymore. If the Dodgers make a move, they have enough equity with the fan base to say, hey, you got to trust us. I mean, in freedom we trust is definitely at an all-time high. And if they've liked Arenado in the past and they feel like there's a path to getting him now at a more affordable rate, then you could see why they would want to go that route. Because, look, the truth is, like I've laid out, I mean, let's do the pros and cons. I mean, the pro for Arenado versus Max Muncy, superior defender at third base. There's no doubt about that. The second pro for Arenado is, do you think that plugging him into this lineup that has more protection? Look, Goldschmidt hasn't been the same. He did have the season he did in 2022, but not a lot of protection around him. I mean, we can get into the conversation how important protection is, but in this lineup, surrounded by guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, hopefully Teoscar Hernandez is back, Will Smith. I mean, I think there's a better chance for him having success in this lineup, because pitchers, there's just no hiding. There's no hiding from this lineup. There's no hiding in this lineup, so he's going to get better pitches to hit. I think that you would get a better version of Nolan Arenado on the Dodgers in 2025 than the Cardinals would get of him on their team because of the lineup. So there's that. There's the fact that you do have to trade some players off that 40-man. You can get rid of some catchers. There's the fact that he does have the no trade clause, so he does have a say to a degree of where he wants to go. I mean, who knows? The Yankees, the Padres could be a player, right? If any of those guys pick him up, hey, you're not going to be happy about it. And then there's also, hey, it's always a good thing to be involved in these conversations if you're Andrew Friedman, because if you get him, fine, you get him at your price, you think that he fits into what you're building for next season, then great. If not, you drive up the price for him so another team has to give up more. So you're always going to be involved. The truth is that when teams around the league have players that have big bloated contracts and they want to move him, the Dodgers are the first team they call, because the Dodgers have that financial muscle to make any deal that they want to make. But let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. Yes or no, do you want to see Nolan Arenado on the Dodgers? We'll talk Carlos Correa in a second. Yeah, we'll talk some Carlos Correa. I have a lot of opinions on that one. Alex Ranteria, DMAC, the goal is to get younger and not older. I haven't given you what I told you that I want the Dodgers to do yet. I've just given you what the thinking process could be for both sides. And I do agree with you. And I've said on this show many times that to sustain a dynasty, to make this a 10-year window instead of a 3 to 4 year window, you do have to hit on younger players. You have to get younger. And yeah, there's that. And I think, though, with Nolan Arenado at his age, though, I mean, Nolan Arenado at his age, 33 years old, he turns 34 in April, and you're looking at 3 more seasons. I mean, you still have what's left of his prime. If you can kind of reinvigorate his career, that prime number would still line up with Mookie Betts' prime, with Freddie Freeman's prime, with Shohei Ohtani is still, I mean, is he in the middle of his prime? Is he 30, 40%? Who knows with Shohei, man? I mean, I could see 7 more dominant years from Shohei. But if they're looking at it from this window right now, then, yeah, that makes sense. As far as long-term, that third base position, you don't have it's not like there's that incumbent guy that's going to play third right now that's a up-and-coming Dodgers player, right? I mean, Cody Hosey didn't work out for the most part, right? I mean, you don't have that player that's going to come up and play that position. And you have potentially 3 more years of Nolan Arenado, 3 more years of Nolan Arenado. And then with Max Muncy, you have a couple more years potentially. So Arenado will be 1 more year. Yes, it'd be more money, but you don't know how much money the Cardinals are willing to absorb. We don't know what the Dodgers are going to give up. You don't know if they're going to have a player that's under contract involved in that deal too. So to think that the Dodgers are going to give up a top prospect and top prospects for Arenado with his deal as it stands, that's unlikely. They're only going to take advantage of this deal if it's very opportunistic for them. And like I said, Teo's going to be back, I think. That's how I felt. And everything that you see, you hear, you really feel strongly about that. So that's another 30 home runs. And Shohei Ohtani is going to give you 40-plus home runs. Mookie Betts, full season, I'm hoping another 30-plus home run season. Freddie, 20-plus home runs. Will Smith, around 20-plus home runs, right? So could Arenado's bat to ball help you more in this lineup than Muncy's slug? That's kind of a question you have to deal with. But let's go to the comment section here. Ray, Muncy holds his own at third. They were growing pains, but he's fine there. I'll bet on Muncy's eye over Nolan's bat at this point. And that's the take, and that's really the debate. And you look at Muncy, yeah, his eye is good. He takes his walks. And the defense, it's just average. So here's the thing. When Muncy's improved, his best version of his defense is to be league average. Nolan Arenado's best version of his defense is to be 10 outs above average, is to be absolutely elite. Max Muncy could train for 50 hours a week on his defense, and he wouldn't come close to reaching the level at third base as Nolan Arenado. And like I said, if you're the Dodgers and you haven't figured out your shortstop position and you're really seriously considering keeping Mookie Betts back there, which I don't want, but if you're going to consider that, strengthening the left side could be an option, because the last thing you want is a average defender at third base and a below average defender at shortstop in Mookie Betts. Now, there's a little talk. I was talking to Dino Ebel about, yes, a lot of the issues with Mookie Betts were just setting and making the throws. But still, I mean, shortstop takes a long time to be instinctive and fluid to play that position. There's a reason why there's only 10 of these guys on the planet they can hit and play above average defense at short at an above average level. It's a very rare skill to have. So, hey, if you're going to keep Muncy at third base, then I think you need an above average shortstop. I'm not saying, okay, definitely trade Max Muncy or anything like that. I'm saying that if you're going to keep Max Muncy at third and he's going to be average, that to kind of circumvent below average defense at shortstop, you got to go out there and you got to make a move at that position, whether it be to sign a Willy Adames, whether that be to trade for a villain of a shortstop, which we'll talk about in a minute, whether that be to explore some other options. I just don't think you can have a full left side of your infield for an entire season be below average and think that it won't cause some problems. We got Muncy and some Kike at third base. Nolan for what? Muncy and Pages. At 34, I don't see a big advantage to getting him. Ruben Juarez, Dave Young. What's up, Dave Young? We got trade for Ellie. Okay, that's not going to happen. They're not going to trade him. They're both mid at this point. IMO. Oh, look, IMO from Dan C. I mean, Max Muncy truly was not mid last season when he was healthy. Master Blaster, Nolan is and the thing is, too, Nolan Arenado is not mid either, because the offense is slightly above average and the defense is well above average. So the truth is, both of them aren't mid. It's not a mid-off. It's not the battle of mid, okay? Master Blaster, Nolan is a better option than Muncy. D-Mac, you just said it. It ain't about character. It's about talent. Nolan is much more talented than Muncy. I mean, they're talented. Their talents are different, for sure. Their talents are different. And the truth is, if Arenado was coming off the season he had in 2022 and the Cardinals are willing to move him, then it would require top prospects. Then it would require most likely any team that traded for him to take on whatever was left in his salary. The Dodgers are really good at analyzing film, analyzing data, and seeing, okay, X, we can improve him here on the margins. Oh, we can fix that hole in his swing. Oh, we can get him back here, right? Because the fact that he's still playing defense at a really high level lets me know that, yeah, he's lost a little bit of his step, but I wouldn't throw the wash label on him. Michael McCaffrey, Goldschmidt, a Hall of Famer. Yeah, no problem with saying that. I mean, he's not the same player that he was when he was at his best. I mean, Goldschmidt, yeah. I want to see a couple more good years out of him to get me a Hall of Fame lock. Definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Sitting around a little over 60 WAR. Rosemary Rodriguez, I think it's time we move on from 2017. We have two since then. Alex, LOL. Oh, I cannot wait to talk Carlos Correa with you guys. Cannot wait. When did Will Smith get a YouTube channel? What's up, Christopher Navarro? D-Mac, have you been morning drinking LOL? You know, just Coke Zeros, nothing too crazy. I don't know if someone spiked my Coke Zeros. Maybe it was Nendo. There was some tequila in my Coke Zeros, but I'm good. Kelly Oshiro, no, building a dynasty means trusting what you have and adding good players, not trading for what you hope will be better players, messes with chemistry, etc. Look, the pillars are in place. The truth is, people don't give enough credit for this. Mookie Betts, I still feel like, is the leader of this team. And I asked a player within the Dodgers, I said, which player is the leader of the Dodgers? And that player told me that it was Dave Roberts. That Dave Roberts uses players on the team that he thinks can get through to other players to do the leading. And yeah, you have your vocal leaders, you have your leaders by example. And I think that as long as the foundation is intact, that... yeah, and Max Muncy is a huge leader. I mean, absolutely. So I definitely think that you would lose something for Max Muncy. I'm not saying to trade Max Muncy. I just want to make that very clear here. But I mean, we're talking baseball here. We're talking baseball, hot stove baseball in early December. Okay, so I just think that your team is as good as the foundational players and your superstars, and this team, from a leadership standpoint, you have to realize that you have a Hall of Fame manager. you have Dave Roberts and a foundation here that's as strong and if not stronger than any team in professional sports right now. That's how good the culture is with this Dodgers team. So, yeah. We got, yes, for sure. No thanks to Arenado from Jasmine. Edminia Correa, would Nolan do more with us than crybaby Machado did? I mean, Machado, that was a trade at the All-Star break. I mean, Corey Seager was down. You had to make a move. They didn't really give up much, and those guys that were included in the deal haven't done much. So, yeah, I mean, Arenado would be a different situation because he'd be locked up. No need, D-Max, skip Correa, period. Next topic. Oh, that's not how it works. AF statue on deck from Dan C. Yes to Arenado. He's way better than Muncy. No pitcher fears Muncy like they do Arenado. Willard Wright. Trust me, enjoy the Dodgers. Can enjoy some 2026 or 2028. All that backload deferred contract kicks in to fund. Now we pay later. 2028 Freeman and Betts and Tommy, their deferred contracts expired. Not going to lie, luck's not working out at shortstop. Set back the plan. Arenado washed, to be honest. That's from the Poison Clan. Yeah, I mean, we broke down his numbers. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's not performing at the level that he did, like I said. I mean, throughout his career, though, he's a 118 weighted runs created plus, a 285 hitter, a 515 slug, and look, I mean, he's a home run hitter, too. I mean, look, he had 42 home runs in 2015. Yes, that was in Colorado. Told you guys, Colorado's like playing with the bumpers on. It's like bowling with the bumpers on at Coors Field. But even outside of that, I mean, St. Louis, he had a 34 home run year in 2021, a 30 home run year in 2022, 26 last season. I think you could view Nolan Arenado next year as a guy that would play above average defense at a level where it's somewhere between good to elite, and then I do think that the bat would be better batting this lineup. I do think that you would see him as an above-average hitter, and I think you would see more pop with the Dodgers than the last couple seasons in St. Louis. But we got some more. Shohei just getting started. Yeah, I totally agree with that one. I'll read some more takes, guys. Whiskey and eggs or what? I love it, guys. Muncy has been better than Arenado the past 2 years. Yeah, he totally has been. There's no doubt about it. What's up, Scott Slater? There's no doubt about it. But Muncy's had the benefit of being in this Dodgers lineup, too. Other thing about Muncy is he's been injury-prone, too. I mean, he's missed significant time. I mean, this season, the chiropractor had to fix things for Max Muncy, thankfully, but he did play just 73 games this season. You can't discount that. So Max Muncy has had some injury issues last couple of seasons. So you kind of wonder about that from that standpoint, but I don't think that I don't think that it's going to be a deal breaker one way or the other. Victor Fuentes, Muncy and Chris Taylor for Nolan Arenado and prospects. Dan C. Plus Muncy is a Dodger through and through. Dan C. I mean, that's true. I mean, he is definitely turning into an iconic Dodger. The thing about Max Muncy, it's interesting because Muncy's streaky at times, and like I said, they don't need his slug like they did in the past with the addition of Shohei Ohtani and bringing back Teoscar Hernandez. Keep the fingers crossed. But we saw in the series against the Mets in the NLCS, I mean, he was huge, right? Against the Mets in the NLCS, I mean, he was massive. He set the new set a new record for most times reaching base consecutively. And then in the series against the Yankees, I mean, he went in against the Yankees in the World Series. Max Muncy was 0 for 16 with 3 walks and 10 strikeouts. He struck out 10 times in 16 at-bats. Against the Mets, hit .333 out of 1363 OPS, was 5 for 15, had 11 walks, a ridiculous 11 walks. And then in the NLDS, he hit 167. So 2 of the 3 series, he was below average. So, like I said, with Nolan Arenado, they could view him as a guy that's going to be a little less boomer bust and a guy that hits for higher average. But then, like I said, you kind of factor in the on base with Nolan Arenado as well. And if you look at kind of where he stands, I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's no guarantees with any of these guys. There's no guarantees with any of these guys. But if there is genuine interest, you can see why. And I've laid out for you why you would have to make that call if you are the Dodgers. Put D-Mac out there. What up, Poison Clan over on YouTube? Arenado for Tortas. That's from Victor Fuentes. Correa greater than signed Kim or Adames, BC. Yeah, I'm out on Hassan Kim. Guys coming off shoulder injuries, even if it's on a prove-it-year deal, even with the versatility, I don't love that, especially when you look at the margin for error next year for this team. Look, this team is 2-win now for a short-term injury type of project. Willie Adames, we'll talk some Willie Adames. Okay, we'll circle back to Nolan Arenado. I'll read more Nolan Arenado. We'll talk more tomorrow about him too. We'll talk more about Nolan Arenado too. But let's switch gears to Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is one of the most polarizing players in the sport, but especially to Dodgers fans. And I don't want to spend a million hours on Correa just yet, just because if you guys watch this show, I can't tell you everything, obviously, how to think, right? I can just lay stuff out for you. But there's a reason why I spent a lot of time on Blake Snell over the last 3 weeks. There's a lot of reasons why I had Blake Snell as my number one free agent for the Dodgers. Higher than Juan Soto, higher than Teoscar Hernandez. Blake Snell was my number one for a reason. You needed elite frontline starting pitching, and felt really strongly the Dodgers would get him, right? And I only spent a lot of time on players I think the Dodgers have a really good chance of at least wanting and possibly getting. Well, with Carlos Correa, you don't have a rumor surrounding him that involves a insider like a Jeff Passan or even a Ken Rosenthal or a John Morosi or a John Heyman, any of those types of insiders. No one's said this, but Carlos Baerga, who's trying to be an insider, who has gotten some things right, has gotten things wrong as well. He said about Carlos Correa that the Twins are rumored to be shopping him. And, quote, for me, these three teams need a ball player like him, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers. So, look, I mean, there you go. Twins are looking to trade a high-price contract in Carlos Correa when they're trying to cut costs and do some salary dumping. Sure, link him to the Yankees, link him to the Mets, link him to the Dodgers. Now, the question I have is, would the Dodgers seriously consider trading for him? Because what you need to look at first is, does he fill a need? Well, right now, what's the biggest need for the Dodgers? The shortstop position. So there's been some rumors about Willie Adames, and the Dodgers have been interested in Willie Adames for quite some time. Willie Adames could move to third base too as a possibility. Now let's start with we'll talk about 2017, and I get it. Yeah, hey D-Mac, I'd rather have a bucket of baseballs at shortstop than Carlos Correa, right? I'd rather have a broomstick at shortstop than Carlos Correa, right? Look, I totally understand that. But just to entertain the idea, let's look at the free agent options for the Dodgers. What would you rather have? Them signing Willie Adames for $150 million, something in that range, or $130, something in that range, but north of $100 million for Willie Adames, who had a down season defensively last season, or trade for a Carlos Correa that is locked into, at the very least, 4 years and $131 million, does have some vested options. We can break down his contract if you want in a second here. And go that route for Carlos Correa. Well, let me tell you this. Just for starters, Carlos Correa and Willie Adames, they're not comparable players in the sense that Carlos Correa is superior to Willie Adames just as an overall player. I don't think there's anyone here that can objectively deny that fact. Carlos Correa last season played just 86 games, and he still managed to put up a 4.3 WAR season. He was still a 155 weighted runs created plus. He was 55% above league average, hit 310. So the truth is with Carlos Correa, as far as his ability at this stage of his career where he's 29, firmly in his prime, is Carlos Correa is an MVP caliber player when he's healthy. Now, he's had some injury issues throughout his career. We know that. We know what happened with the Giants. They fall out of the deal. The Mets, they fell out of the deal a couple of seasons ago when they tried to trade him. They were like, LOL, JK, we're good after looking at the medicals. And you've had some seasons where he has missed time. Foot, abductor, he's been banged up. I mean, 2023, he did play 135 games. 2022, he did play 136 games. Last season, did play 86 games and was still extremely powerful and really elite when he was on the field. Now, the question for Carlos Correa is, do you think he's going to stay healthy? And where would the Twins be? Like I said, all hypothetical stuff. I'll give you my thoughts on 2017. And if you could ever imagine wearing a Dodgers uniform, right? I know that that's what it comes down to for some. Some people, it's a next non-starter, forget it. Carlos Correa. Hey, if you hate Carlos Correa, if he was on the Dodgers, look at the bright side. You could boo him 81 times a year, okay? But let's just put that aside for a second and just talk baseball as far as the acquisition cost of Correa. Now, it really depends on a couple of factors. One, would the Twins be willing to pay down some of that money? Could you get the Twins to pay $5 to $10 million of that contract per season and get it down to $100 million, under $100 million, something in that range, and then you include a better prospect for the Dodgers? Would you include a Gavin Lux? And I think at that point, you're looking at trading a Gavin Lux. You're certainly going to trade a Diego Cartaya or one of the catchers. But then if they take down some of the money, then you could look at including a top prospect, a Josue DePaula type, something in that range. Dalton Rushing, I'm still holding on to Dalton Rushing. But if you get them to pay down some of the money and the Dodgers include a better prospect package, yeah, the only thing to overcome would be the optics of Correa the player, Correa the locker room presence. And it's tough to say because, I mean, yes, there's not a lot of players from that 2017 team on this current Dodgers team, but Clayton Kershaw is. The most important one is. And yes, Kersh is not on this roster right now. I can guarantee you Clayton Kershaw will be wearing Dodger blue next season, right? It's a formality at this point. Handshake, week. He's a Dodger for life, okay? He literally yelled that, Dodger for life! Yelled that to the championship parade. But from an optics standpoint, would that make sense? Would that make sense if you are the Dodgers? And would he ruffle the feathers of the team? I'm sure if the Dodgers ever seriously, and like I said, all hypothetical here, if the Dodgers ever got to the red zone, if they were ever on the 20-yard line of even considering pulling the trigger on a trade for Carlos Correa, I can guarantee you that they would have conversations with Clayton Kershaw. And any Dodgers outside of him, it doesn't really matter, to be honest with me. I mean, Clayton Kershaw is the future first ballot Hall of Famer. Clayton Kershaw was the Dodger that was impacted the most by the Trastros banging trash cans and stealing signs in 2017. Because I'll die on this hill. Clayton Kershaw wins World Series MVP if the Astros aren't cheating. And all that choker stuff, the choke shot, all that stuff that fake fans were doing, fake Dodgers fans were doing a couple years ago, we would never have seen that. So if Kersh gave it his blessing, then that would probably be a major kicker. But I do think that, objectively speaking, Carlos Correa is a superior player to Willy Adames. And then let me ask you this, too. I've made this clear, and I was one of the few. Everyone got excited when they moved Mookie to shortstop. Look, at this point, I'd rather play shortstop for the Dodgers. I'd rather see myself play shortstop, and I'd be awful. I just don't want to see Mookie playing shortstop because I want him to focus on what he does best for this team at this point, which is being one of the best hitters in the game and prolonging his career. I don't want him to see him get injured at shortstop. I've spoken to Miguel Rojas several times about this, and he tells me that if you play shortstop every day for an entire season, there's no doubt that it bleeds into your offense and that it takes a massive toll physically on your body. This is coming from one of the best defensive shortstops in the sport, even in his mid-30s, right? So I don't want to see Mookie at shortstop. So it's interesting. I mean, a part of me says, F this guy. He doesn't deserve the privilege to wear Dodger blue. A part of me says, man, if you're going to spend the money on Adames, if you could get around similar figures and you need to move off some prospect anyways, and Carlos Correa is really available, then that goes that route. So it's a tough one for Dodgers fans to think of him. I personally don't think it will happen, right? I don't think that this is something that's been seriously discussed at this point. But yeah, it's tough to imagine Carlos Correa as a Dodger, man. It really is. It's tough to wrap your head around. You can see this Photoshop here. You can see this jersey swap right here. But it's tough. It's kind of one of those things, man. It's kind of one of those things where, man, that team truly robbed the Dodgers of a World Series. But so much time has passed, and look, I can tell you, I have talked to players about kind of the dynamics of kind of of players that have a reputation. Juan Soto being one of them. Carlos Correa. I mean, what did this team lack for a lot of people's minds was a postseason dog, a guy that can perform in the postseason. The Dodgers have brought in a villain by some fans in Blake Snell, right? At this point, here we go. This Brandon Kim says BS Correa, Los Angeles owes a big apology from that douchebag. So, yeah, that's kind of the sentiment for a lot of people. Correa greater than Mookie at shortstop from MJRS Sports Cards. Nando, get over 2017. It was like 8 years ago. I mean, look, it's kind of the way to look at this, too, is if you're Carlos Correa, I mean, obviously, when the Dodgers were linked to him in free agency, that'd be different because in free agency, you're a free agent, right? You get to choose the team you sign with. And if you sign with the Dodgers, that would show that, hey, despite all the cheating and all the things that happened in 2017, maybe I wanted to right my wrong and come here and help you win a World Series title. If he gets traded to the Dodgers, it's totally different. D-Mac. Lady LA, no cheating. Correa, Muncy should retire. Arenado too old now. Pass. Signed Teo yesterday. Would love Arenado in LA. He's way better than Muncy. Argue with the wall. That's from MP. Adames is a safer bet. Plus, he's cool in my book. Peek a peep. Yeah, if I had to take Adames over Carlos Correa from a fit standpoint, a guy that's going to rock the boat less, I would certainly take Willy Adames. And I think from a dependability standpoint, Willy Adames has been less injury prone, right? I mean, with Carlos Correa, there's a reason why the Mets and Giants didn't finish those deals. And even last season, he missed significant time. He did play over 130 games the 2 seasons prior to that, so he started to kind of shed that injury prone label. But that definitely is a conflict for sure. And that's why I just don't ultimately think that the Dodgers would make that move. Nando 390, Correa is a stud at shortstop. 2017 crybaby still won Kershaw a pitch in game 1 in October. Nando's in his bag. He's popping off today. Tell him how you feel, guys. Like I said, the best thing about this show, in my eyes, we can all have different opinions about the Dodgers. First time I ever thought, what a big. Joe Kelly plays his last game as a Dodger. 499 Super Chat. Breaking news, Dodgers in agreement on deal with Jesus Christ, $12 billion for an eternity. I hear he walks a lot on water. Some kind of wonderful. That's the comment of the show. Got to give you some love for that. Yeah, I mean, sure there'll be a lot of deferrals there. So, yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you a little comment of the show action there.
Win. Perfect.
Yeah, let's go. Sign Willie from Santiago Arc. Alex Renteria, if the Dodgers got Correa and if Kelly was still on the team, he would plunk him in batting practice. That's a close comment of the show. Maybe he'll play for free just for that. Maybe he'll just be a BP coach. Correa garbage. No Correa and Arenado. Can't plunk him if he plays for us. That's from Beer Salmas. Chief, until Houston voluntarily vacates the 2017 World Series championship, the bad blood will never stop. Robert Chavez. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, man. That's like the Joker joined the Justice League, right? Robert Chavez, now that he's a Dodger, his new name is Jesus Christ. Okay. What about the plate in his ankle? It's the reason why the Giants and Mets passed on. See, that's the thing, too. I mean, for me, the reason to look against the Carlos Correa, I mean, 2017, you guys, I'm trying to look, does he make this team better? The answer would be possibly yes. But you don't make a team better if you don't play. And with Carlos Correa, you look at the contract, and like I said, 4 years, $131 million guaranteed, but he does have a lot of vested options. And those vested options, I mean, they'd be a good problem to have in 2029. And Carlos Correa also has a full no trade clause as well. So 2029 vesting options, $25 million. If he could get a $25 million vesting option for 2029, and that'd be his age 34 season. If he had 575 plate appearances in 2028, finished top 5 of the 2028 MVP, won Silver Slugger, LCS MVP, or World Series MVP. So that's kind of where his vested options really are at. Basically, the difference is the plate appearances go down. In 2030, it goes from to 550, 2031, it goes to 525, 2032 goes to 502. So if he's getting 500 plus plate appearances per season, I mean, you could have him for his age 34 season for $25 million, $20 million in 2030, 2031 for $15 million. In 2032, a $10 million deal at his age 37 season. Could always shift over to play third base as well. I mean, that's something that he's talked about, but let's not forget that this deal, the base salary is $36 million. It was originally a 6-year, $200 million contract. The AAV sits at $33 million, so that impacts your CBT. So, yeah, I mean, for me, if it was me, I'd focus on the other areas, and I would just sign Willy Adames. The question is, if you can't sign Willy Adames, then what do you do? Do you trade for Bo Bichette, Gavin Lux, Mookie Betts at short? Then it's a little dicey, and I think the Correa kind of feels like a Yankee too to me. We'll see. They have Volpe, so I mean, does he kind of switch there? Go to third base is a possibility. But back to the comment section. Welcome to a little Dodgers Dugout Live in the morning. Big week of Dodger baseball. We should see the Blake Snell introductory press conference in some capacity, I'm guessing. They've already made the $74 million Tommy Edman extension official, but let's keep firing away, guys. You guys are firing away in the comment section. D-Mac Kershaw's WWE promo is your favorite. I really do love when he did that. I mean, I just love players having fun, especially at championship parades. Nando 390, we got SK. Fun fact, Teoscar Hernandez was actually on the 2017 Astros roster. That's a good fun fact that for some reason people... Yeah, but the thing is, he wasn't involved in that championship, but still, it is interesting that he did that. Speaking of Teoscar Hernandez, Ken Rosenthal wrote in his most recent piece, the best guess with Hernandez is that he will return to the Dodgers on a 3-year deal for more than $60 million. But with Soto, the Dodgers are doing what they often do with elite free agents, hanging around the backboard, seeing if the ball somehow falls into their hands. So, hey, most insiders are saying the Dodgers are still hovering around the Soto sweepstakes, waiting to see if there's an opportunity for them to slide in and sign him at their price. And I think another interesting deal to me over the weekend was the deal for Frankie Montas. So Frankie Montas, he's back with the Mets on a 2-year, $34 million deal. And look at his numbers with the Reds and the Brewers last season. He went 150 and 2/3 innings, was just under a 5 ERA guy, and he signs a 2-year, $34 million contract. So now you're looking at $17 million for guys that post a 4.84 ERA per season. So what does that mean for Walker Buehler? I think that if Montas got that contract, Walker Buehler certainly has better deals out there than just a 1-year, $15 million contract. So I think that the odds of Buehler being back on the Dodgers, especially after the Snell signing, are getting lower by the day. And you feel good for Buehler because he'll hopefully get more money and be in a better situation. And you feel like if you're the Dodgers, you're just kind of in a position where, yeah, it's not going to make a ton of sense when you have a lot of these guys coming back and you're hoping that Glasnow and Yamamoto stay healthy. So, yeah, Tayo says Teo was the one hitting the can. Yeah, I don't think that. BC Andrew Freeman is from Houston, probably was a fan before 2017. Nope, I'd rather take our chances with Lux. That's from Hector Munoz. Snell is not even close to the villain that Correa is. Alex Renteria, I'll give you that. I mean, I don't think Snell should even be considered a villain. I mean, when it comes to villains, I think Carlos Correa, I mean, just look at how much he was booed every single time, right? I think that Carlos Correa, maybe Alex Bregman's the only one. I mean, he's kind of the face of that. of that whole cheating scandal, if you're being completely honest, as far as the player, just because of his personality type. I would say that Correa is in the Barry Bonds tier of villains. I mean, it would be the ultimate 180. That's why it's tough to even picture. It's tough to even picture. But you guys want to talk about it? We talked about it. Carlos never admitted to cheating or an apology. FTP. That's from David Morales. And look, he does have a no trade. So Hector Munoz, I would take Kershaw playing shortstop over that D-bag. That's a comment of the show, too. I feel like the Dodgers would pass on him regardless. I think that's for me. That's for me, too. Stu Monder, D-Mac talked me into Snell, and the Dodgers got him. Who you taking for the next move? Teo, Adames, Arenado, or Correa? I think I got a one Dodger dog for Carlos Correa. Arenado is a two just people are talking level Dodger dog right now, and there's just been interest in the past. Adames and Teo, I think that Teo is the next signing. I would say Teo is the next signing for me. What up, Pika Peep? Soto or Buzz? I'm so down for Correa, lefty. You know, if you look, I will say, if they sign Correa, you would. I mean, just think about that press conference. I mean, I'd be the first person to ask. I mean, what do you have to say to Dodgers fans that are still upset about what happened in 2017? And is it time to kind of come clean about what happened there? Do you apologize for what happened there? And yeah, I would be all over it. I mean, trust me, I would not be sunshine pumping, rainbows and unicorns type thing at that press conference. I mean, that'd be the first thing out of my mouth to ask Carlos Correa in a situation like that, because look, it's a dark part of history for a lot of people. I mean, it impacted Kershaw's mental health for a while, right? I mean, it impacted a lot of people. I mean, some people that were lifelong Dodgers fans didn't get to see a Dodgers parade before they passed away, right? I mean, so like, yeah, I mean, that was the worst cheating in modern era, right? That's a big possibility. Correa makes as much sense as Machado. That's from Andrew. Well, no, man. I mean, have you looked at Machado's contract extension? I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Arenado is $74 million. If Arenado was performing like he did a couple seasons ago, that'd be a good value contract for a lot of teams when you include the defense, for sure. Alex Renteria, no to the trio of Correa, Bregman, and Altuve. Yeah, I see it right there. No to Correa, F him. 8 years ago is from Superbad D-Mag. The answer is the people don't forget. Yeah, no, totally. And I agree with you. And honestly, I'm in that camp too. Nando says Correa cheated and Gagne used roids. I mean, it's a totally different conversation. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter who's right or wrong in that situation. The Dodgers fans, it's kind of a perception of it is more important than whatever occurred from another player. But Bilal K, unless the Dodgers by some miracle land Soto, they're just waiting for his deal to get done so they can assess whether Adames or Teo is going to be more costly player. Adames over Teo. Nolan wants to be a Dodger. That's from Mr. Dodgers Brew. We got Dancy. Got to run, y'all. Go Dodgers. We have Mr. Miguel Rojas, Tommy Edman, Kike Hernandez. CD3 can handle the shortstop position. A lot of those guys you want to keep in versatile roles. And Tommy Edman, you like him as your center fielder versus your shortstop. Yeah, for sure. D-Mac, you need to add that Dodgers for life into the intros from Chris Frostacre. Yeah, by the way, I'm going to drop an interview with Dodgers #1 pitching prospect Jackson Ferris a little later. Be on the lookout for that. Dropped an interview yesterday with Landon Knack. Landon Knack's a great dude. And I love Landon Knack, but one of those guys, Landon Knack, Grove, Frasso. I mean, do those guys get included in offseason deals because the Dodgers are looking to kind of move some of those guys and bolster their roster elsewhere? Carl Sumner, no on Arenado. He's past his prime. No on Correa. He cheated against the Dodgers. Snell's no villain. Bilal K, it makes me shake my head that many Dodgers fans don't understand the shrewdness that must be made to make a team win first and to be great. Soto's our best free agent option, then Adames, then Teo. Bureau says, don't forget short Tuve. Come on now. You're crazy. D-Mac, what up, Poison, my man? But, yep, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We're going to be back a little later, though. Anything drops today, any rumors, anything related to anything, we will be going live. So thanks for joining us here on a morning edition of Dodgers Dugout Live. Thank you so much. And drop those comments down below. Do you want to see Carlos Correa in Dodger blue? For me, The words of Randy Jackson, it's a no from me, dog, unless a lot of things really had to change as far as falling into your lap, then paying down the contract, giving up nothing. I mean, it's a tough one. The worst thing you want is a contract like that and then a player that's playing less than 100 games per season. For me, it's more about that and some of the medical red flags. But, hey, we've seen crazier stuff, that's for sure. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. And also let me know about Arenado. You can follow me over on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, hit that like button. Check out those interviews dropping later. Follow us over on Instagram and over on the X, on TikTok. Drop a like before you leave, too. Appreciate you guys always rocking with us here on the #1 Dodgers podcast and show over on YouTube. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like